Okay, today we're going to look at polynomials, and that's 7.6. Let's go back to something you hopefully remember again. Back in I don't know, second, third grade, third, fourth grade, you learned about adding numbers and multiplying numbers. If you added these two numbers together, what did you do? This was the 10 spot, that's the 1 spot. So you go 7 plus 6 is 13. Carry the 1, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. Okay, remember doing that long before calculators? If you multiplied those numbers, then what did you do? You went 6 times 7 is 42, carry the 4. 6 times 2 is 12, 12 plus 4 is 16. And then, since you're in the tens place, you pushed it over and you went 5 times 7 is 35. Carry the 3. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. So you ended up with, let's see, 2. This 11. Carry the 1. 3, 4, 5. 1, 5, 1, 2. That's the same. Let's see, 27. Oh, I had 56. Okay, very good. So there you go. So there's numbers. Now, what if instead of numbers we have things, algebraic expressions? So what if, for example, we have, let's do something similar to this. What if we have the expression 2x plus 7, and then we want to add that to 5x plus 6. Well, we do it the same way we did here. We can just think of taking the 5x plus 6 and putting it right below the other one, and then adding them together. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to do any carrying. You just go 7 plus 6 is 13, and 2 plus 5 is 7, so you have 7 x's plus 13. So there's the sum, okay? And similarly, if you were to subtract one from the other, same thing as subtracting one from the other here, okay? So that's not a big deal. Now, what about multiplying them? What if we have 2x plus 7, and we want to multiply that by 5x plus 6? Well, we do it the same way we did here. What did we do here? We just multiplied this by each of these things and then this by each of these things. So what do we do? 6 times 7 is 42. Agreed? 6 times 2x, well, if you have 6 times 2x, you're going to get 12x. So you get 12x plus 42. That's what happens when I multiply these things by 6. Now, if I multiply by 5x, I'm going to get 5x times 7, which is 35x. Let's put that right underneath this one. And then, I should have given myself a little more room here. I have 2x times 5x. 2x times 5x, you can multiply those in any order. So let's multiply these together and get 10, and then x times x we just learned is x squared. So it's going to be 10x squared. Okay? So there you go. And now you can add all that together, and you're going to get 10x squared plus, what, 47? X plus 42. Okay? Yep, just checking my numbers there. Okay? So that's the way you do it. Okay? Another way that you might have been taught, if you've seen something like this before, if you don't want to take up quite so much space, notice what you're really doing is you're multiplying this by everything, and you're multiplying this by everything. So everything in here has to be multiplied by everything in there. So the way, there's going to be 4 things you have to multiply, right? Just like we had 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 things to multiply. So the easy way to remember them is to go first, outer, inner, last. The first is this times this. That's going to give you 10x squared. Outer means you take the outer ones on both of these. So this times this is going to be 2x times 6 is going to be 12x. Inner is this times this, which is 35x. And then last is going to be 6 times 7, which is 42. So notice that's, again, 10x squared plus 47x plus 42. So it doesn't matter if you want to do it this way, you can. If you want to do it this way, you can. Basically, you just have to multiply everything in here by everything in here, and you just want to make sure you do them all. So you got it. Okay? So that's what it means to multiply. Okay, let's do a couple more like this, just for practice. What if I have x plus y quantity squared? That's the same as x plus y times x plus y. Agreed? So again, I could do it both ways. Let's go ahead and use the FOIL. It just takes up a little less space. First is going to be x times x, which is x squared. Outer is going to be x times y. Inner is going to be y times x, but y times x is the same as x times y. Might as well write it both in alphabetical order. And then finally, y times y is y squared. And so if I add these two together, I'm going to get x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. So that's just kind of, this one comes up quite often, and there's the answer. Okay, there's the answer for it. What if you have x minus y quantity squared? What's that going to be? That's x minus y times x minus y. These just show up quite a bit. So again, if you use FOIL, you're going to get x times x is x squared. That's first. Outer, notice you have a negative here. So it's going to be negative y times x. As long as I keep the negative in front, I'm okay. Inner, here's the inner. Notice I have a negative and I have an xy, so that's going to be a negative xy. And then right here I have a negative y times negative y. Well, negative times negative gives you positive, so you're going to get a positive y squared. So if you multiply this out, you're going to get x squared minus 2xy plus y squared. So that's one that's also comes up quite a bit. The author mentions it, so I thought I would too. And then here's the last one. This is actually the one that's used, comes up the most often. Something like this. Here it's x plus y times x minus y, and all you have to do is use FOIL on it. If you use FOIL on it, you're going to get x times x is x squared. Outer is going to be a minus xy. Inner is going to be, notice, a positive x times y. And then finally the last is going to be a negative y squared. So in this case, notice that these two cancel each other out, and you just end up with x squared minus y squared. So that's very important. Quite often in mathematics, you see an x squared minus y squared, and whenever you do, it's very helpful to remember that this thing is the same as this thing right here. Okay, so there you go. Okay, very good. Well, I just mentioned that this is the same as this, and we started with this and we got this. Is there a way to start with something like this and get this? Can we go backwards? Can we go backwards is the question. Okay, well, let's try one. Let's play with one and see once what happens. Let's take x plus 3 times x plus 7. Okay? X plus 3 times x plus 7. So if we use FOIL on that, what are we going to get? X times x is x squared. Can I start doing a couple steps in one? Here you have 3x, and here you have 7x. 3x and 7x is going to be 10x. And then here you have 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, see that? So now the question is, what if I started by giving you this thing right here and asked you to write it as the product of two linear factors like that? Okay, how could we do it? Well, let's kind of think backwards. First of all, notice you want an x in both of these spots because x times x gives you x squared. See that? Also notice that 3 times 7 gives you 21. So you're going to want a couple things here which multiply, whatever they are, they have to multiply to 21. And also notice that here you have 3x, here you have 7x, and so you end up with 10x. So this right here is 3 times 7, and this right here is 3 plus 7. See that? So you want two things such that when you add them together, you get 10. Well, of course, we already know what they are. It's 3 and 7. So sure enough, if you go, doesn't matter which order, 7 there, 3 there, you're going to be fine. And we already know you're going to be fine because when we FOIL it out, you're going to get that. Okay, so that's the idea. You just have to think of two things that multiply to this number and which add to this number. Okay? Let's try one where I haven't told it to you ahead of time. See if you can figure it out. Okay, try this one. Try this one. How about x squared minus 4x minus 21. Okay? Can you see how to do it? We want two numbers that multiply to negative 21 and they add to negative 4. Well, you can tell right away that one of them is going to be negative and one of them is going to be positive, right? Because in order to have a product which is negative, one's got to be negative and one's positive. And it looks like the negative one has got to be a bigger number because when you add them together, you still end up with a negative. So how about this? How about going x minus 7, x plus 3? Let's see if that works. If I multiply this out, I'm going to get x squared. Here I'm going to get a negative 7x plus 3x is a negative 4x. That's what I wanted. Negative 4x. And then negative 3 times, or I'm sorry, negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. Sure enough, there you go. Okay, let's just try a couple more just for practice. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna have to come up with one in my head here. How about this one? How about x squared? I'm just gonna cheat right here. Minus 8x plus 15. Okay, x squared minus 8x plus 15. Okay, so let's see once how we can factor that. So we'll start with an x right here. Now we want two numbers that multiply to 15. And we also want those numbers to add to negative 8. Okay, so what does this tell you? Apparently they both have to be negative, agreed? Because they have to add to a negative number, and if the product is positive, that means that either these are both positive or both negative, but apparently they both must be negative. So I'm going to have a negative in both of these spots. And now I just want something that multiplies to 15 and adds to negative 8. Well, how about this? At some point you just either kind of see it or else you do a little trial. Sometimes if you just try and error, you get it easily enough. Okay, let's check it out. I'm going to get x squared. There's negative 5x minus 3x is a negative 8x plus 15. See that? So that's factoring, okay? You can get a little more involved than that, but that's all that we're going to need for this course, and that's really kind of all you often need. Let's try this one. How about x squared minus 9? How about that one? Well, you can do it a couple ways. One way is to say I want to write this as x here and x here, and I want a and b to multiply to -9, and I want a plus b to add to 0 because you don't have any x's there at all. See that? So apparently these things have to be the negatives of each other. One is the opposite of the other. So what are two numbers, one the opposite of the other, that give you -9? Well, how about -3 and +3? See that? So that'll do it. That'll do it. Let's check it out. You're going to get x squared minus 3x plus 3x. They add to 0, -9. The other way to have done this is notice that this is just the same as x squared minus 3 squared. And what did we just learn a few minutes ago? We said if you have one thing squared minus another thing squared, it's what? It's the first thing plus the second thing times the first thing minus the second thing. So there it is right there. Okay? I don't know. Let's do one more just for practice. How about, okay, how about this one? X squared minus 3x minus 40. Okay? Are you ahead of me? Going to be an x here, x here. We want two numbers, a and b, that add to -3, and a times b give you -40. Oh, I get it. Well, that's fine. So one is positive, one is negative. And so you think of things that multiply to 40. What are things that multiply to 40? 20 and 2, 40 and 1, 10 and 4. I'm looking at things that are going to give me this -3. What's 10 and 4? 8 and 5. Oh, hey, 8 and 5. Look at there. 8 and 5 has a 3 between them, difference. So how about -8 plus 5? And I knew to put the -8 here because I have a negative there. So I want more negatives than positives. So that's going to be x squared minus 3x plus 5x is going to be what? Minus 3x and then -40. If I had a plus right there, then I think I would have wanted them like this. Is that right? Because then I would have had x squared, and I would have had a plus 8x minus 5x is going to be plus 3x, still -40. Okay? So that's the idea. That's factoring polynomials, and that's going to come in very handy in the next chapter on quadratics. Okay? You'll see why shortly. Very good.